Want to bring in right now Betsy Woodruff, a politics reporter at the Daily Beast, and Ron Hosko, former assistant director at the FBI. Good to see you both. Thanks so much for joining us.
Good morning.
Betsy, let me kick it off with you. What are you expecting from his speech today in this meeting in Mexico?
I'm not braced for any major shocks. I think the most likely thing is that it'll give Trump a chance to sort of project that hawkish, bullish approach to immigration that's been his signature through the course of this cycle, while at the same time won't necessarily present any new information. Of course, Trump has spent the last year in public life bashing Mexico, suggesting the Mexican government is engaged in sort of a covert operation of pushing dangerous criminals into the United States. So he and President Nieto will certainly have a lot to talk about. It's going to be interesting to see how he manages to incorporate that into a speech where the potentially will give him the chance to both try to sound diplomatic and presidential without necessarily undercutting his basic views on immigration.
Yeah, Ron, especially since he's been saying this whole time Mexico will pay for that wall. I mean, everyone wants to hear what Mexico's president has to say about this.
I want to hear what he has to say. I would like to see the body language as well. Do they make a joint appearance? Do they make singular comments without the other in the same camera shot? I think Trump has a lot to learn from Mexico. We have the issue of jobs, the U.S. exporting jobs to Mexico, how Trump might want to get them back. There's also tremendous corruption in Mexico and a huge drug and cartel problem in Mexico, too. So I think Donald Trump has a lot to learn.
Yeah, interesting that the invitation was even made.
Absolutely, and I wonder how the optics play stateside with his most ardent supporters, because he's going to have to make a show that he's getting tough with Mexico. And it's not just about stopping illegal immigration and building a wall. It's also about NAFTA. He said, I want to renegotiate the North American Free Trade Agreement. I wonder how I think that the speech will be maybe more critical in terms of what his supporters are listening to and what people who are on the fence will be listening to.
So that's been in the works for about 3 months. And there's been a lot of back and forth.
This trip has been in the works?
This trip has been in the works for about 3 months. It was done from the Mexico side into the Trump campaign, meaning they reached out through the embassy. And, of course, the campaign responded, and then they put this thing together. And I know they were trying to get it done before the speech, and so it seems like it's coming together now for them.
I think that's really interesting, actually, to learn that Mexico reached out to the Trump campaign, because you would expect it to be the other way around. And obviously Mexico are not going to pay for this wall, although a border fence is a really good idea of Mr. Trump's. So I'm interested to see how he's going to spin it. The big issue for his supporters is that can they believe anything he says anymore? Now he's not going to deport people. Basically, he's for touchback amnesty. And the interesting thing is, how is he going to get around the fact that he is and always has been for touchback amnesty? His supporters are going to be very disappointed.
Headline in the Wall Street Journal today: Trump's shift in immigration stance echoes Obama administration policy. That doesn't play well.
Yeah.
Not with his supporters.
Right. Yeah, he's a Democrat.
Okay, so let me push back a little bit.
And that's why I poked you.
So we can have a little bit of a food fight. I'll get somebody to pass in the food. But here's what I really think is happening there. Okay, he is a classic entrepreneur, classic business executive. He had a template of ideas, and then over the course of time, particularly about 2 weeks ago when he met with a group from the Hispanic community at Trump Tower on the 25th floor, on that listening experience, he started to adapt and starting to make changes.
Yeah, can we hear the tape from the New York Times? You know, the one where he said, I'm not going to build a wall and I'm just doing it to sucker the GOP primary voters. Well, there's a good reason he won't release that tape.
Yeah.
I think is it an accurate paraphrase?
I don't know if it exactly came out like that, but you and I both agree that a security fence or a wall is probably a good idea.
Yeah.
I think your country experienced the same thing with the Brexit. I think what we also know, without having a sustainable border, when you have a welfare state, it's a very perilous situation for a country.
Sure, you need a good border.
Let me turn to the Clinton email story, because the State Department revealed yesterday that as many as 30 previously undisclosed emails that may refer to the Benghazi attack were recovered by the FBI. That was during its investigation into Hillary Clinton's use of a private server. The Trump campaign pounced on the revelation with a statement that read, in part, if Clinton did not consider emails about something as important as Benghazi to be work-related, one has to wonder what is contained in other emails she attempted to wipe from her server. Ron Hosko, what do you think about this? Are these emails going to reveal any new information into what happened in Benghazi, and is this going to be a negative for Hillary Clinton?
I don't see how it's anything but a negative for Hillary. This, just on its face, appears to be yet one more lie that is coming undone. She has made these statements, you know, hardened in stone about how she used this server, what was on the server. All of those statements have proven false. This looks like another false statement, but your question is the right one. What about the content? Is there something in here that turns out to be a smoking gun? I think I would be surprised if there is a smoking gun. I think it's more of the same. It is yet one other false statement by her, and the question for me is, how many Americans still believe anything that comes out of her mouth?
Yeah, that's... Betsy, what about that? I mean, the FBI is also going to release notes from Hillary Clinton's voluntary interview with Director Jim Comey. That's as soon as today. The White House discussed whether there was any consultation with the FBI. Listen to this. I want to get your reaction.
I've seen those reports. I can tell you that the White House did not consult with the FBI about that decision or any of the other decisions that they've made in terms of handling some of the investigative material that they've collected when they looked into this matter. So I'll leave it to them to describe what steps they're taking. There are any number of people that are employed by your news organizations that will speculate about the potential political impact or political fallout. I'll let them do that.
What do you think? Will these notes prompt Congress to seek another investigation, or does it vindicate Hillary Clinton in the eyes of the public?
I think it's unlikely that we get yet another congressional investigation on this point. That said, you don't have to be that big of a speculator to put two and two together and realize that this rolling email disaster is a really big problem for Clinton. And I think in the context of this election, what's really important is that since the DNC, we've seen Clinton's numbers with independents get a little wishy-washy, particularly in the Emerson College poll that came out earlier this week. Clinton's not doing as well as she used to be doing, particularly in Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, in that poll. And the reason for that is that independents are less favorable, have a less favorable view of her than they've had in the past. These emails sort of collectively undercut the credibility that she has with a lot of voters who might be more interested in character and leadership skills and integrity than they would be in the ins and outs of any wonky policy issue. As long as Clinton has to talk about these emails, it's going to make her less likely to do press conferences, come across as less credible, and that's a problem for her with the independents that she must win.
So you think it's having an impact on the independent, Dagan?
I think that it is, that you've seen in terms of the way the polls are moving, the tightening in the polls. I think that it's hurting her. Listen, people come to this election 25 years of knowing this woman on the national stage.
Right. And this is a drip.
And they don't trust her. They absolutely don't trust her. She needs to give them a reason to believe in her, and she is yet to do that, and it's getting worse. Yeah.